If you've ever been scrolling online and seen a home for sale with the term as is, and you wondered, what does that mean? Should I be afraid? Well, that's pretty normal. That's why I'm here to break down today the misconceptions of what as is means in real estate and why it shouldn't necessarily scare you. I'm Angela Rodriguez over at Encore Realty, and I'm here to help educate and inform so that you can make smart decisions when it comes to buying and selling homes. So let's talk about what as is truly means, because it means different things for buyers and sellers. Let's start off with sellers. First of all, here in the state of South Carolina, any home could technically be as is, because by law here in South Carolina, the seller doesn't have to make one repair, but it's usually in their best interest to go ahead and work out a deal with the current buyer, because if not, they would have to disclose what that repair is, and that repair could scare off future buyers, and it could impact the final purchase price. So that's what we're dealing with here in South Carolina. That's where I talk about real estate, because I know the laws in South Carolina, just in case you're watching me on YouTube. Let's talk about reasons that sellers might choose to sell as is. So basically what it means when a home is listed as is that the seller is planning to sell the home in the current condition, meaning no repairs, no upgrades, no punch list before closing. That's it. That's what it means. And there are a few reasons that sellers do this. It could be because the home is older and they don't want to get pulled into repair negotiations that could be nitpicky on a house that's more than 50 years old. It could be an estate sale where the seller has never lived in the home and really doesn't know the age of the HVAC or the roof or the water heater or things like that. It could be because there are investors selling flips and they might not want to revisit small repairs. Or honestly, the seller could just simply want a simple transaction. And here's the key. A lot of times the price already factors in as is. Now let's clear up the biggest misconception in as is. That doesn't mean that you can't bring in a home inspector. You absolutely can inspect the home, and you should. Inspections are your opportunity to understand exactly what you're buying, okay? As is just means the seller isn't offering to fix things up front. It does not remove your ability as the purchaser to perform your due diligence. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Buyers use as is too, but it means something totally different. When a buyer writes an as is offer, what a buyer is really saying is, I'm not going to nitpick every repair with you. That is usually music to a seller's ear, and it's a strategy. In a competitive situation, this could make your offer stand out. It could make the term stronger, an as is purchase. That's what a seller is looking for, the ability to not have to make repairs. But this is important. It doesn't mean that you're giving up your protection or your ability to ask for a repair. Remember, you can always ask. If you don't ask, you won't get. So if something major shows up in a home inspection, like something structural or a roof issue or some big ticket items like something in the crawl space or something with the foundation, you absolutely could go back to the seller and say, listen, here is what we've uncovered. Here is the estimate. I would like to renegotiate with you. And so that could mean that the seller gives you a lower purchase price, or the seller at that point, with this new information, knowing that they would have to disclose this repair, could decide to make the repair for you. So there's always a way to hopefully find a win-win no matter what the situation is. And this is where experience really matters. That's why who you work with, who is advocating for you in a transaction is so important, because it's not just what something says, it's how it's written into the contract. As is can mean several different things depending on the situation, the paperwork, and the strategy behind it. And that's where deals are either won or lost. Here's the bottom line. As is doesn't always mean run away. As is a strategic maneuver, and I will be here to help you every step of the way, whether you're a buyer or a seller. I'm Angela Rodriguez over at Encore Realty, and I hope to see you on the next video.